everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be playing one of the most budget-friendly decks on Arena, and one of the strongest decks on Arena with a very high win rate as well, and especially when it comes to best of one, and that is mono white auras. As you can see, we have it divided out right now by its rarity chart, with only 8 rares in total in the deck, and the rest being a common or an uncommon. I can actually kind of split that out even more here. I don't know which ones are commons or uncommons off the top of my head. A lot of uncommons, apparently. I think it's a common randomly. Maybe it's an uncommon. I don't know. And obviously, basics are free. So we have 4 commons and then a lot of uncommons and 8 rares. So that makes this deck very easy to afford and a deck that can 100% get you to Mythic pretty easily. In today's video, we do run into a little bit of trouble. We ended up playing 20 matches in total to split out even. However, 15 of my games were on the draw, and if you can be roughly on 50% on the draw in a deck like this that has a very, very high win rate on the play, you're definitely going to be winning a lot more games than losing. The main game plan is to play Scavenger and the Skyward Spider. Kind of hard to say these cards now that we've looked at the other names for so long, but Skyward Spider, mainly one of these two, and then some auras to pump them up and a way to protect them when needed, and then absolutely crush your opponent with one massive creature or a smaller kind of 5/5 or 6/6, and this deck is pretty small, and win out that way. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive into the games. Opponent first. I think this is a good hand. I like Ethereal Armor. I like Veteran. I like Scavenger too, but Scavenger never makes it more than one turn. Against a pretty decent, I don't want to say matchup, but this is like the discard deck. The Shelter's really strong, and especially when it comes to resetting the big elemental or even like resetting Mako, for example. Probably going to lose our Scavenger. Probably should have let off with a Survivor maybe. But with Bloodghast in there, I'm pretty okay with this. Go here. Let's rip the Mako. Looking pretty solid so far. Scavenger probably would have been a better option in theory, but right now the Survivor is actually better by exiling stuff like this when it comes down to it. Although the likelihood of our opponent playing a land I thought was going to be high. They're stuck on 2 mana. Let's isolate this here. Take that away from them. Attack. We hit for good value. We exile the Ghast. So now we kind of have everything going our way a bit. Would love to get our Ethereal Armor down. We'll absolutely need to get it down. They attack back, which totally makes sense. That land comes across pretty huge. We'll play Origin. This creature we make does have reach, so we're able to isolate the flying creature without necessarily having to bid this into play. Let's grow our boy. Ethereal Armor wouldn't quite have got us there. It would be very, very close. At least I don't think it would have got us there. Oh, well, weird. What a counterplay. Right. Another Ethereal Armor puts us... I don't know if you can attack here, boss. No? No reason to attack. Just can't block. Oh, I didn't know what the pause was, but they can't answer the Survivor anyway. Zero Armor is going to be way too large. By way too large, I mean exactly lethal. But more is going to be way too large because it has a lifelink. And it's going to grow too much, and they're just never going to be able to outpace us with what they have, especially going empty-handed. The other thing, too, is it's going to exile something else and then get an additional +3/+3 and run over the game even more than it already was. So, sweet. All right, we finally get to see one, which almost feels like a new card at this point, but the Spider-Man cards are actually here. I don't know what happened. Just yesterday, it was the other version, so whether the opponent put that on intentionally or not, I didn't know when they actually updated it, but I guess my game updated this morning, so it probably was then, right? Probably just didn't have the arts loaded into the client like that. Very cool, nevertheless, to finally get the actual art of the cards. So on my end, at least, I can feel a lot more confident in putting, like, making a thumbnail has been really weird with Spider-Man cards, because what do you use? Do you use the in-game client version, or do you use like the real one? You know what I mean? If people only play Arena, they might not actually know the other one doesn't exist. So it's just this weird back and forth that you have to have. Against mono green, I'm not too worried about the ward, but I am worried about getting through. Too many creatures in our hand. We do need a little bit more enchantments here. We're gonna load up on one, especially if it's just mono green. Shelter is going to be a good piece to pick up. If we rip a land, this won't be a bad card to play, because then we can scry and kind of build up our auras as we go on. Ouroboros, not possible. Hydra, however, is. We do hit a land. I'll have flying if I play it now, but I want pressure. Go here. Spread out. The reason we spread out is so that they can't tip them off later. We have equal strength across the board. In a matchup like this, that's all that matters. Earthbend, forest, land, fetch land would only put it to the little bit bigger. I think I can find lethal here, however. Let's shelter here. I don't know if it's lethal or not, but I'm going to pretend it is. This is 12 on the board currently. Fine, and we swing in for enough. If it wasn't, we had one more +3 to go around. But yeah, going against mono green and outrunning them is pretty good. No protection, no shelter, which I guess could also count as protection. But pretty good hand. Kind of need all the cards more than other decks. A lot of times you can argue, well, you know, you can maul to 6 with mono red. This deck being very reliant on having kind of everything. Could just lose this creature immediately, or protection is down, so I could definitely see that happening. Oh, protection comes up though. I bet. Here. Turn. Wow, we get through. Okay. All right. The way to flicker this guy. Or it's just gone. Sure. Sure. Team rip, obviously not the greatest thing in the world. Scavenger is really good on her own, so we don't really want to prioritize targeting her with enchantments, because she can pump herself and make herself relevant. So again, here we're pumping just her. Here's 5, pretty good hit. On a 13. Exile no cards still. Holding this protection. Because now if they remove something, I'm pretty okay with it to an extent. I could opt for the protection spell now and just force them to have another Day of Judgment, or the other board wipe is 5 mana. So I guess we just force them to have it here. And it also does make this grow a little bit more. So whenever we're ready, the rest, sure, go for it. We're probably going to see another piece of removal with Hero Armor is the obvious take. Basically a +1 here is all it's really doing. What to get rid of? It's definitely got to be here, right? Although this can grow quite a lot by itself now. With Vendor, this is much better. This is also larger, but this will just grow in general. So I guess we pop it. Weird that the aura goes away before. By the way. Demon. Okay, so we should know roughly the matchup. Fully at this point. Now we're going to do the opposite here where we're loading this up, but we're going to put counters on the vendor. Oh, I think I'm okay with that. We just want to make sure it's an aura. If I put that to the bottom and we hit a land, it's pretty devastating. Team rep, not the greatest. Could maybe trick them here with the flight if there are plans to do this. But we lose this type of game a lot. Put a card on top. 1 mana available. That stuck. And that's going to do it. I mean, they knew we had a enchantment, right? I feel like that's just the game anyway. If I equip nothing, I think we win, right? Because we go to combat, this triggers, I activate it, put a +1 on it, and then puts another counter on it. So if they had nothing, surprised they stayed. But we would have just probably seam ripped, especially the fact that this just resolved no problem. Allowing this one to resolve typically doesn't take precedence because this draws a card. But we'll win and we'll move on. Okay, on the draw here, we have an okay hand. Obviously, we'd like to draw maybe 1 land plus some threats. And we're on the draw, so I will keep. This is definitely one where it can go away. And once again, we have another card that had a different art on it because of licensing issues. Oh, what is this? Whenever you cast in sorcery, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. This card's actually really good. But it's on target, right? So we seam rip it. We take it away. So they're clearly a I target my creatures deck. So it feels fine. Honestly, playing this deck is Orzhov if instance and sorcery wasn't the thing. Also, that's interesting. I didn't realize that happened. If you highlighted the card over here, if it was exiled under something, it would show up. But again, because they are a targeting deck, this could definitely be the target of a removal piece. Rescue does put it up to 3 power and toughness. So something like a Burst Lightning will not be able to take care of it. We'll most likely end up using this turn, I assume. Sure. Still a sweet card. I like the idea of what they're doing. Wild Run, go to 4 or something like that. 5. Okay. Sure. Should I take this out? They're not a big threat deck, right? I'm not going to have many threats to go around. I feel like I should just take out their creatures and rely on this, and what a draw to rely on. I would put the Ethereal Armor on, but I'd much rather just do this. Maybe Ethereal Armor was better, but they do play black in their deck, so obviously some issues could happen there. And we're going to hold the Ethereal Armor until we're ready to really strike with it. Might as well just get value off these. This isn't really going to close the clock all too much quicker. That lane can go, I think, even though we could technically play our whole hand. But again, it's that situation where if this is now a land, we feel very bad keeping that one on top. Not always going to be the case, but pretty often will be. 1/1 and becomes a legendary spider. Here. Here. Now we would love a land just because we have evasion. Oh, wow. What a combination. What a combination. Wow. But yeah, I mean, the difference of putting that land on the bottom allowed us to sequence our spells different because we drew a card, it drew a card. And then it allowed us to hit another land. If we just kept the land on top, we obviously would have drawn a brick. And realistically, you can always win with this deck on 3 mana. 4 mana is the maximum that you ever want. But with that, we win. Very cool. So this hand on the play is absolutely phenomenal. Because of the ward around this, they obviously get to interact with this a bit before I can get it to set up. Boys. That is mine, Mr. Sir. Nothing to exile yet. We could flash this in. This is the Ang deck, I believe. Huh? You missed a land. Alright, here's 4. I'll exile that. And we'll look to protect it with this. And having the other protection spells is going to be absolutely massive here. Find a land. So stop on our upkeep here. Combat. 4. I almost think just passing with both of these up is too good. These are +2 with this ethereal armor right now. So we do have quite a bit of damage on board. And I am going to jam 1. Okie dokie. Yeah, so we can go land spell vendor. We actually, it's funny. I think our opponent's at 10, right? I'm not trolling. Can I look? It's actually funny. They just assume we have enough for lethal in hand, which I don't blame them. Well, because there's only 1 ethereal armor, this is only a +1. And this I couldn't activate, but with the land draw we can do. So I actually didn't have it at first. So we have the land. We can then either go scavenger, then this, putting a counter here, or we can go, or we can do the opposite, right? Where we go vendor, activate vendor, put it on here, because this is a 1/1 onto it, and we would have got it that way. Actually, yeah, because of the +1 from ethereal armor. Weird. They just assumed we had it, and I had to take a second because we really didn't. We've drowned over the last 2 games. We keep a 2-land opener, which is all we can really ask for, and then we hope to rip a 3rd, but then instead we're just drawing only 2 mana spells, so we end up finding ourselves playing 1 spell a turn, and it is just not the way to go. And we'll get like 20 cards deep on 2 lands, and it's just so hard to win games that way. I think I'm going to set up the value card here. Obviously playing up the scavengers would be good. Oh, a fire magic or something like that when I see a mana like this is devastating to our scavengers, so I didn't really want to commit like that. Okay, fair enough. There's only a target for that, so we go scavenger here. I'm in there. I think the argument will be a setup turn here, and then this plus another counter will give it enough. If they have a second bitter triumph, then sure, I'll lose to it. My scavenger will still be here, and they'll still be kind of struggling a little. We do have a second one. Okay, fair enough. 10. Down to 3. You can do here to here. But in a deck only playing really 4 removal spells like that, I'm going to take the chance. You can do it. I believe in you. Ooh. Hmm? Oh, they can't do it. I don't believe in them. Like some games on the play. I feel like I've been on a draw a vast majority of my games. I think it's just scavenger here. Let them play something out, see him rip it, and then hold up my rescue, I guess. Love to get this down. Just doesn't seem likely. Thankfully, that land's tapped, so my opponent's going to fall a little bit behind. Double seam rip here is actually probably the better play. Seam rip can't hit Ouroboros anyway, so it's not like we're really playing to that. Oh no, my Shard Mage Rescue slipped out of my hand. And now their blocker does have to tap for mana a lot of the times. And in blue, they'll most likely just be on bounce spells, so Seam Rip will be able to kind of come back down. It could bounce this, getting the Spider Cub back, but then they only make 2 mana. Or no, they can make 4 actually. Actually, you do have to be careful of that. I think that's what's going to happen. Make a fish. Thing though is it does grow my creature a bit. Huh? Oh, you were Quandrix. Okay. Is our last card another bounce spell? Of course it is, dude. Why wouldn't it be? So they literally don't have the mana if they don't rip it. But if I know anything about Arena the Gathering, that's the first card coming off the top is the land they need. And I'm growing my fish, dude. I'm swinging every time. This fish is my savior, and I love him. Although it does feel really weird to try to commit an ethereal armor onto it. I will grow my scavenger just because of that. We'll swing 5. A block here is good nevertheless. You don't block. Honestly, them playing land, playing Ouroboros is actually a good value play for us. And a shock at that. Okay. Well, GG's, brother, I think. Right here. Get flying. Plus the counter is going to be GG's. And we go to combat. We get there. Very cool. Even if they had a non-tap lane, we have another rescue. Plus we drew a scavenger, so we play scavenger, play rescue, give it +3. And we will still be able to take away the extra life that they would have retained by not having the shock this end. But yeah, double bounce spell for the win. I think this destroys an enchantment, and they discarded that. So, to this. So, I'll take it, I guess. Okay. I get a game on the play. This is where I end up. My opponent's not here. They kept their opener, by the way. They were here long enough to keep their opening hand. And they're like, scavenger? Nah, I'm good. It's just, oh, they're here. Thing is my spider is going to be impossible to remove. At least I feel. No. Your armor? Nice. What? After our infamous game on the play, we'll be back on the draw. We were so prepared. We're so ready. Maximum lands we want to have. Don't really need any more. Drawing a 5th one oftentimes means we are cooked for the long haul. Interesting. My scavenger. This is pretty nice. Although, very hard matchup. Don't have an answer. Just don't have an answer for this stuff. We just have to go about as wide as we can. They just play Kona and combo. I mean, we're cooked regardless. Definitely a big decision play draw here. Our big contributor to that is play draw here. We just straight up cooked here. Unless they're reanimator, I can't imagine. Have to be Kona, right? Oh. See if it's omniscience. GG, brother. You got it. Wow, what a sick game that was, dude. Perka play draw. All right, we're up to 25 games, and this is the 5th game I've finally been on the play. We did the math. We counted because I was curious because I kept getting games on the draw and then just losing by 1 turn. It's incredible, honestly. Well, they played that tap. I'm going to go for a vendor and just set up my creatures and pray I stop drawing lands so I can maybe win the game. Arena's on its nonsense arc of give you weird hands where it makes it feel like you're playing the game, but then you just keep falling behind. 2 deceits, huh? And this is exactly what I'm saying. It makes me feel like I'm playing the game, but I'm actually not. A big surprise here. Oh, shelter's pretty okay. Anything other than the land I'll keep. I do not want to see another land for the rest of the game. I have 25% of my lands currently in play or in my hand right now in the top 9 cards in my deck. So that's pretty cool. That's fine. Kind of. Not really, but it's fine. Okay. Oh, they don't have it, huh? Here. I want my board to be huge. I have enough to win here. Shelters +2, so I have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm short by 1. Yeah, because 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, we're just short. Okay. Okay, I guess. Pass on it. We have another scry. Pass on that, unfortunately. No. Team rip, the card we really want to see. Okay. Cool. Cool beans. Cool weird game. You can see where I lost a few. But yeah, I mean, a lot of games on the draw and not quite enough on the play. And then when we get them on the play, we would get games like this where we would kind of flood, but our opponent would have reanimated this turn, for example. The fact that they didn't put a bringer in there means it's probably a sign that our luck's turning for the better for us, but it is what it is. Max, they have 8 cards in hand, by the way, and well, 7, but they didn't have enough. We'll take the win, and I'm going to call the video there. I hope you all enjoy, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.